You in the council chamber. Yes, this is the June 26th, 2023 meeting of the Architectural Review Committee of the City of Palm Springs. Please silence all phones and pagers. Planning Director, please take roll call.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Chris is remoting in from home today, so I will do the roll. Member Thompson? Here. Member Walsh?
Here.
Member Poline? Here. Member McCoy is absent. Member Dosi is absent. Member Rotman?
Here.
And Chair Jakeway.
Here,
You have a quorum.
thank you. May we have a staff report on the posting of the agenda?
The agenda for this meeting was made available for public access on the City Hall Bulletin Board on the west side of Council Chambers at 9 p.m. on Thursday, June 22nd, and it was posted on the city's website as required.
Thank you. Does anybody on the committee have any changes or revisions to the agenda? Seeing none, do we have a motion to accept the agenda?
Motion to accept.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, if we might, Ken, did you want to raise the issue of the M1A?
Yeah, I'm
sorry,
raising
we
my
do
hand.
have an agenda item from the staff.
Mr. Chair, we would like to recommend that the item on your consent agenda, 1A, the signage for nice guys, be continued to a date certain, as we have some matters that we need to correct and help the applicant with before considering this particular item.
Okay, thank you. Now, let's go back to a motion to accept the agenda with item number 1, sent for continuation.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, do we have a second? Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. We don't have any minutes to review at this meeting, so we're going to move right into new business, and that would be number 3A. Henrik Antonian, owner for a major architectural application for the construction of a 4,112 square foot single-family residence on a hillside lot located at 2310 Tuscan Road. Could we have a staff report, please?
Thank you, Chair. If we could, let me get the clicker here. So the project is located 2310 Tuscan Road, and to orient the commission, Tuscan Road is on the left side of this slide, and Via Olivera is on the lower street. Tuscan Road sits elevated, and the project slopes from the northwest corner to the southeast corner.
Glenn, I'm going to interrupt just a second. I'm sorry. I skipped over the part of the meeting where we opened for public comment.
Okay.
So let's back up and do that. Since this is a public meeting, audience members are permitted to comment on any issue that is within this committee's purview. Comments on an item appearing on today's agenda are made at the time that that item is presented. If you want to speak on any item not on today's agenda, you may speak now. Seeing none, we will now move ahead to the agenda item, and we will get back to Glenn's. I don't know what to do. My microphone's on, correct? Okay. We'll try this. Is that better? Thank you for letting me know. Okay, Glenn.
Okay, Chair, thank you. I will speak loudly. We have no trouble with that.
No, we'll do it in just a minute. After the staff report, we'll do public comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So as I mentioned, this is a aerial photograph orientating the committee as to where the vacant lot is located. Currently, the lot is full of boulders and other scrub brush, which is located throughout the site. The applicant has provided a sort of an illustrative design showing how the house would sit on the lot. Just to give a little direction, as I mentioned, on Tuscan Road, the street sits higher, about 6 feet higher than the finished pad of the house. And as you go along Via Olivera, the road slopes downward. So the resulting is a terraced house that will have steps that are internal to the structure. So the 20-foot long driveway will come off of Via Olivera to an attached garage, and then the entrance to the house is located in the center of the great room. So as I mentioned, here is the garage, the driveway, and the property slopes from west to east. There's a site plan in your package that shows the setbacks. The front of the house is considered Tuscan Road, which is a 25-foot setback. The rear is to the east, and then it's a side corner lot, so there's a 20-foot setback on Via Olivera and a 10-foot setback on the property to the north. So the structure meets all the setbacks for the R1B zone. There is a floor plan, and as I mentioned, there are a series of steps that are located within the house. So there's the garage sits lower. There's a series of steps that goes into the outdoor living area, and then on the front door, there's a fireplace, and then a set of stairs that goes up into the great room. There were 4 bedrooms that surround the great room, and then the master bedroom has steps down that descend into that room itself. On the front of the house, there are sliders that go out to little patios that face Tuscan Road. And this project has been reviewed by the planning staff and our urban designer multiple times, and we've gotten to this point to present it to you today. So there have been several revisions, and we'll discuss those in just a second. There's a grading plan that shows the street elevations. As I mentioned, there is a drop-off from Tuscan Road down to the finished floor pad, and then a series of grading along Via Olivera to get to allow the garage to be an entry flat driveway. The applicant provided cross-sections showing how the house would sit as it relates to the houses that are adjacent to it. And in this slide, you'll see that Tuscan Road sits at a higher elevation, and then it steps down. There's a retaining wall that will be at the bottom of the slope that will level the pads that are in front of the bedrooms, and then you'll see how the house steps down with the house to the east sitting lower. On the other cross-section, east to west, the houses to the north is relatively at the same elevation, and you'll see how the house structure relates to the house to the north. Once again, this is the aerial showing the house to the north and then the house to the east. In looking at the building elevations, as I mentioned, there's been several design changes over the past year to get this proper project to the ARC. One thing I'd like to note is that this elevation shows a house at 18 feet 4 inches, which is over what is permitted, which would be 18 without an administrative minor modification. This plan is different than what the staff reviewed when the staff report was written. So the applicant will address that, and he's willing to lower the elevation to the 18 feet, which would beat the standard of the zoning code. So looking at this elevation, there is, let me start with the Via Olivera side. There's the garage and the front entry. There's this pop-up that goes above the great room. Looking at the Tuscan Road site, there's a series of roof slopes with the area above the great room. This side is what faces the house to the north. You'll notice there's mechanical equipment that is hidden and behind the building, which won't be visible from the street. And then this is the side that faces the outdoor living area pool deck. There's a building material board that I handed to the committee that is being reviewed. There you go. And that's this slide here, which shows the color of the house is a light gray. There's porcelain veneer walnut color, which will accent. And then there are other types of stone that will frame the front door, and we'll go over that in just a minute. Window frames are anodized color gray, and the garage door is a roll-up door with frosted glass, aluminum framing. Oop. One second. It's a blank slide, okay. There's a landscape plan that shows the types of landscape that is proposed. The plants that are proposed are lush and efficient. They're set of plants. The species include multiple 36-inch box shade trees, blue palms, California fan palms, numerous shrubs and succulents. Ground cover to include crushed stone, gravel, pebbles, and boulders, all meeting the standards of the zoning code. Southern live oaks, 3 olive trees, Washingtonian foliferas at 10 feet tall. Again, 4 blue palms, pygmy date palms, and bottle brush, yucca, agave, and other ground covers. Following is a series of illustrative drawings of renderings of what the building would look like. As I mentioned, this is the front door. As you step down the side of the hill, this is what would face Via Olivera. The front entrance is framed by this stacked stone. Here's the garage door, and once again, the middle portion is the elevated area above the great room. One of the comments from our urban design planner who's here is the series of these types of roof angles. We had the applicant add eyebrows. This is a west-facing elevation, so this will have a lot of solar access. So they've added these eyebrows for better solar control. And this is a pretty good example of how it shows the road that sits higher and the house is sort of sunk into the hillside. Going through another series of drawings showing what the house will look like. Once again, here is the top portion of the house that will be at 18 feet as measured from the pad of the building. So, Chair, that concludes my report, and the applicant is here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Does the committee have any questions for staff? Okay, is the applicant present? If you could come up to the microphone that's over there and give us your name, and you have 10 minutes to make a presentation of the project.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, members of the committee. My name is Mike Mendoza.
Is that turned on? Is there a,
Yeah, just speak into it, Mike.
Okay. My name is Mike Mendoza. Thank you for the consideration of our project. I'm here for Mr. Henry Artonen, that is present, the owner of the project. And yeah, we have worked with planning department in several draws of the proposed single-family residence on Tuscan Road and Via Olivera. And we think, it's a good asset for the community and the neighborhood, that it's growing up and have, new buildings around it. We consider, the challenges of the property coming, from Tuscan to the other end of Via Olivera, and we work with terraces with grading engineers. That it was a task by himself because of the topography of the property, but we were able to accomplish and have a project that it, sound for the site. You guys have any comments or questions?
anybody on the committee have questions for the applicant? Nope, thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Okay, at this point, we can have public comments on this item. So if anybody from the audience would like to speak, come to the microphone, give us your name, and you would have 3 minutes.
Hello, my name's Rebecca Hendrickson, and I'm a neighbor. I'm to the east side of this construction, so welcome to the neighborhood. I'm just kind of curious, on the plans, on the plant plan which we received, it was listed as having 2 owners, and on the agenda today, there's just 1 owner of the house. So I'm just curious why there's a difference there. I'm interested in the drainage plan of the property since we are downhill from them. We're on the east side. So is the drainage plan going to be on the southeast corner? And if so, how much can that space hold for the drainage on this big lot? I'm interested to know about the sewage plan. Is the sewage also going to be on that southeast corner? And if so, is the hookup going to be a pipeline coming up Oliveira? Are they going to be required to extend the pipeline up to the southwest corner of their property? Or can they stop at the southeast corner of their property? Because we've had some different conversations with the city about that for ourselves on our property. And if there is the extension of that sewer line up Oliveira, is that expense going to be solely theirs? Or as a neighbor, are we going to be participating in that expense? And then if they're going to be allowed to have a septic, where's their leach field going to be? Because again, we're down property from them, and where is that leach field going to be and how big is it? I'm also interested in the preliminary planting palette that we were given, that there's mention of the southern live oak, and it just seems like that's going to be very difficult to grow here, so that's a question. I'm wondering how much fill is going to come into the lot. Currently we've got the wall. It's a 6-foot wall on the back side, on the west side of our property. So if their fill is coming in, will that wall become a retaining wall? And if it becomes a retaining wall, how much force can it hold? And with the plan for planting, if there's a lot of foliage on that east side, which it looks like there is the irrigation then going to come down and start to degrade that wall? That's another concern. I'm also interested in an external lighting plan, just to know what's going on there. We're supposed to be a dark sky city, so just curious about that. And also, we've been looking at elevations from Tuscan and from Oliveira and from the north side of the property, but I'm wondering if there are any elevations or any computer-generated visuals from the east side looking towards the property. I haven't seen any of those. So those are my concerns. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My name is Michael Hammond, and I'm the husband of the woman who just spoke. And welcome to the neighborhood. I appreciate the low profile of the house. I guess my one comment is the Quercus virginiana, which is a southern oak. And I speak from experience, having written a dissertation on plant domestication and being certified as a master gardener by UC Riverside Agricultural Extension, and having done 8 hours of volunteer work advising people on their gardens here. It's not gonna live unless you hire a horticulturalist. I would go look at the beautiful Washingtonian Folifera that's right outside in the parking lot here. That's a stunning example of a native fan palm. And You've got 13 of them on your plan. And if you've got triskaidekaphobia, fear of the number 13, you might as well add a number 14. So thank you.
With all your experience, we probably need you to be a consultant for us. Thank you. Do we have any other audience members who would like to speak on this project? Okay, thank you.
Chair, can I address one of her comments about the sewer?
Please.
So in the conditions of approval that is included in your packet, and this information was all available in the staff report online. So there are conditions of approval that will talk about the sanitary sewer lines and the hookup. So engineering condition number 24 talks about the sewer lines along Via Olivera and Tuscan. So the city does not approve septic systems. They would have to connect to the city sewer and water lines. There's a grading plan that's included in the staff report, and it shows how water drains. They would need to keep all of their water on their lot. That's what the grading plans are for. There's a special process, reports that are water quality management plans that the engineering department will review when the building permit comes in. So they will not be able to convey water from their lot onto any other lot. So I just want to address that issue, that they are required to not have water run onto another lot that's adjacent.
And as I'm looking at the grading plan, it looks like is it a new CMU wall that surrounds it looks like the entire property, even on Tuscan, is that correct?
So I know it's hard to tell, but yes, there's a low retaining wall that is along Tuscan. If you flip to the planting plan, you know that the streets in that neighborhood, Little Tuscany, is rural. There's no curbs or sidewalks, and that's sort of the nice nature of that neighborhood. And so in the landscape plan, if we could pull up the report, the PowerPoint, there we go. Let me click to, oop. Can we get it full scale? There we go. So if we go to the planting plan, you'll see that the edge of the pavement is about 12 feet. The right-of-way is 12 feet from where the actual property line is. So they are required to landscape all that area between the edge of the pavement and where the actual property line is. So in this plan, it's showing a low wall that comes around Via Olivera and Tuscany, and that provides the level area for these patios that are outside the bedrooms. Going back to the grading plan, you see it also here, which shows this low wall, and then it drops off to the level area of the pad, the building pad. So, and this also shows the edge of pavement in the grading plan. So the actual property line is about 12 feet farther in. It does show other walls that are along the north property line and the south property line, and it's labeled as a 6-foot tall CMU block wall. And the applicant, right here, it's labeled. I know it's hard to see in this diagram. And as far as any irrigation along that for these plants, they would need to build the wall based upon city standards, and any irrigation that would run or drain would need to be mitigated or not allowed onto the neighbor's property. So I hope that addresses that.
Glenn, as we look at their site section on 1.06, it shows it looks like the wall excuse me, is retaining about 6 or 7 feet of dirt, and then it's 6 feet taller on top of that, is that correct?
On, okay, right, this location here,
Yes,
it does appear to be that the wall will be taller on the neighbor's side versus the new house side.
thank you. Anybody else on the committee have questions for the staff? Well, since we've got the staff back involved.
Chair, if I could also just pull up some, sorry, I'm a little slow on the slides. So there are illustrative drawings and elevations showing what the house would look like from, and I don't think I have any on my PowerPoint. They're in your packet, and they show what the elevation would be, which is right here, from from the neighbor to the east. So if you look at the landscape plan, it will show us, and as you mentioned, this wall is taller than on their side. So the inner pool area would not be visible from the neighbors to the east. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we've concluded the public comments. Does the applicant have any rebuttal to those comments?
We were aware about the sewer when we talked to Public Works, and that we need to bring, the lines, water and sewer will be connecting to it. We will not be using any gas since Title 24 has changed so much. Everything is turned electrical, solar panels, heat pumps and water heaters, so we won't be using any gas on this project.
What about pool heating?
I'm sorry?
Pool heating? Would that be gas?
Electric also.
Electric, wow.
Yes. And on regards of the landscaping, we can make accommodations to the comments that the neighbors did. We can change, substitute, to accomplish that. Water retaining, like Glenn told us, it's part of the grading plan. It has to retain the water in the site. All retaining walls will be per city standards, and we have engineers who will design such walls. Any other ones that I'm missing?
What's the ownership?
Oh,
It's only one owner.
Mr.
Never been two owners.
Yeah. It's your,
Henry, can you come to the counter? Can you, or the
I
mic?
think I put your wife's name as well. Okay.
Can you, speaking to the mic, please?
Hi, everyone. As we already talked, I'm Henrik. I'm the owner of the property. There is only one owner, and there was never been another one, so. Also, the cost of sewer line, I know that we are paying for them, and none of the neighbors gonna share any money off the sewer line or water line, so that's strictly our cost to do it.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, committee, discussion.
I had one more question for the owners, because I didn't see solar panels on here, and I saw future PV system, but I didn't see any plan for solar. Isn't that required, and wouldn't that have to be part of the submission on a new build?
Yes.
Part of the building code.
Mike, you got to come to the mic. Come to the mic.
Yeah, it's part of the new building code 2022, and it will be part of the complete package of construction documents. Fire sprinklers, solar panels. We will complete the landscaping with lighting to deem, according to standards of the city. Yeah, but it's part of it. And we're going to try to maximize it since we want to do everything electric. So we will do according to the calculations, plus whatever demands needs of our appliances and systems.
Okay.
Chair Jakeway, this is Member Rotman.
Yes, Robert.
Yeah, as a follow-up to that, Mike, where on the roof are you planning to put the solar panels?
We have several surfaces big enough, but we will need to consult with the solar company after we have the Title 24 who ask for the demand of the solar system, and then we will provide that information to the planning department and also the building department, because they are actually the ones who, in combination with the Title 24, determine, where is the best location to consider the panels.
And
Thank you.
Mike, just for your information, the last number of houses that we've seen that have pretty flat roofs that have solar panels on the roof, the committee has been asking that a skirt be installed around the panel so that if you're looking at the house from off of the property, you're not seeing under the panels and you're not seeing the side of the panels, you see an architectural
We
detail.
can accommodate that, and I also agree with that because a lot of birds are trying to nest under the panels as well, so we will screen, all around the panels and make it, conform with the building as well.
Thank you. Committee, other comments? First thing I noticed is during this discussion, the retaining wall and then privacy wall that's along the east property line, I think is way too tall for the neighbor, and I think that wall needs to be broken into two pieces so that on the property line would be the actual retaining wall, and the top of that wall would be at about 6 feet, it appears, and then step back at least 4 feet to have a second wall that would create the privacy wall, and then install some landscaping between those two walls so that it would be a buffer so that that wall adjacent to the neighbors is not such a massive element. It'll soften it. And the other question I had, could we look at the rendering that shows the garage? There. The stone veneer that surrounds the garage door is only on that elevation of the building. And I think it always looks very odd when, if you're looking at the sign in the building, you're just looking at the side of the thickness of the veneer. The veneer, I think, needs to wrap that side of the building at least a couple of feet. And I think architecturally, it would be the most interesting if a little, I'm going to call it pop-out, I don't know if there's a technical term, a little extension of wall is there so that it can wrap around that little wall extension and then die back into the wall. And that way, that will feel like a three-dimensional wall, just like you see over there at the front door, where you can see about, I'm guessing 16 inches of stone return before it hits the other wall. I think that detail would really help to improve that look. Committee, any other comments? John?
Just a few, Mr. Chairman. The neighbors' questions regarding drainage and sewer lines seem to be asked and answered, and also with respect to the wall heights. And those things are being processed through the precise grading plan. From a visual standpoint, when I look at the west elevation, I realize that we've got a couple shed roofs in some different locations that are coming together. And I just sort of spot that as a potentially dicey buildability issue and getting the roofing and all flashed neatly up in there. And that just looks like a potentially difficult detail to execute on. There was not an exterior lighting plan submitted, I take it.
That's correct. In the plans, we show that, or they're showing these little sconces above the doors, but maybe Mike could address that, but at this point, there's not a lighting plan. That's something that if the committee wants to see in a subcommittee or at staff level, that would be up, could be your direction.
Okay, perhaps we could hold on that. I just don't want to create more work, but I do think that if it is of concern with respect to the neighbors.
Right, it is important.
Yeah, right. Okay, then the solar, I realize that this plan has probably had several incarnations and been developed along with being able to integrate some observations. The solar eyelashes, I will call them, in the rendering that's up there now, they look a bit planted on. You know, it might be nice to have something that was a little bit better integrated into the wall. And what else? Okay, it's that your stucco finish, I think, can work very well. Obviously, there are no expansion joints, so I assume that this is some sort of an acrylic mix of some sort, and that's going to be perfect and smooth and beautiful. And I think that was it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, John.
Great. I'll go next.
Steve?
John, you stole mine about the eyebrows. I'm typically not a fan of eyebrows kind of stuck on the side of the building. They feel kind of arbitrary and look like kind of an afterthought. So having them integrated a bit more into the facade, even if possibly you wrapped them around and tied them into the other sort of white part, could be something you should look at. I think the solar panel plan is important. Again, with the skirting issue, I think we need to see that. The other thing I noticed in the elevations is the garage sort of looks awkward to me. I think it's just the height of it. I'm not sure if there's a reason that it is so tall, but it just feels like it's kind of an awkward, very large shape over there that doesn't feel right to me. Thank you.
Mike, you want to address that? We worked on this.
Keep the same lines, you know, that they were coming from the entrance into the garage to tie it up with the same kind of fascia. But we can do a little step down. I have a high heel on the trusses on the garage, and we can probably bring a little bit more harmony and don't make it look so massive and tall. And probably overlap, you know, some of the fascia lines so we can have a little bit more harmony and not such a big element on the garage door. We can accomplish that. Okay.
Steve, anything else? Dan?
Hey, Mike, while you're there, can you come back up to the podium? On the shed roof part of the design, the fascia is thinner than it is on the rest of the house. Is there a reason why? Because to me, from my eye, it looks a little odd that the fascias aren't all the same size around the house. And
Yeah, we tried to make it more prominent, the flat surfaces, but we can match, you know, and that was one of the comments that Glenn had before. And yeah, we can take it in consideration and make it look more.
And then the small
symmetric.
windows that are in the great room, there's some small windows along the pool side and then above the entry door. They're pretty small. They don't look proportionately to the size that's going above the.
But they're transom light windows, just light windows all above, you know, a big 40-foot slider. So it's just above
Correct.
the great room.
What's above them inside the house? Why can't they be taller?
because I have a high restriction.
No, but the stucco part goes up higher, but the windows are thin. And then
That's the heel-
you've got like 2
that-
feet worth of stucco.
That's the heel of my trusses.
I see.
I could probably go like another 6 inches more on it, but more than that, because of the span of the trusses on the great room, I will have to use steel instead of trusses in order to accommodate the roofing in there.
Okay. It's not that big of a deal. You can't really see the windows very often, but I just noticed in the plan, they just looked a little bit disproportioned.
Yeah, they're about 18 inches.
Okay.
The thickness by the length, two lengths of 20 feet.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thanks.
Dan, to play onto your comment, on the section that's on sheet 1.04, it appears that there's a lot of dead space between the ceiling of the living room and the structural roof above. So I would think you could raise that ceiling at least a foot or 18 inches, and that would give you the opportunity to make those clear story windows a little bigger.
Yeah, we can work with that.
So it wouldn't affect your height limit from the outside of the building, but it would give you a little more volume.
Lower the heel of the trusses and raise up the size of the windows. Yeah, we can do that,
Okay.
definitely.
Thank you, Mike. Any other questions from the committee or comments?
Vice Chair?
Yes.
Yeah,
Robert.
so along that same line, in the shed roof area, which is where the bedrooms are, is there a reason why you have so much attic space? I know you've got some for your trusses, but it seems a little excessive. And what brings me to that question is, I think from the outside, the proportions look out of scale. The heights in relation to the windows, the horizontal reveal, how it relates to the roof, all those things seem to be conflicting with each other. And I'm wondering whether you just can't bring everything down. I'm not saying you have to lower your ceiling height, but if you can lower your roof height a little bit, it might help with some of the proportions on the exterior of the building.
Yes, we can accomplish that. I always try to give as much as possible depth on the attic space, since we live in a desert and we use air conditioning, 9 months out of the year. And I hate when they have problems trying to locate and move ducts through the ceilings, and they end up cutting members that are engineered. So I try to leave as much as possible. But Mr. Artonian owns a HVAC company, and we can probably work with something with a better system, with a high velocity ducting or something like that, and lower the profile. Definitely, we could do that.
I appreciate that. I think it's just the problem I'm having has to do with your horizontal reveals and how they kind of are counterintuitive to a sloped roof like that. And I think that also applies to the discussion we had with the garage and how it seems disproportionately tall. And I think part of that is because of where you're breaking your stone and the stucco. And if you got rid of that break and just extended the stone all the way up and maybe bring the roof down, I think it would actually help the building a lot. It seems like there's a lot of disparate kind of elements happening, and it's not coming together cohesively.
Anything else, Robert?
No, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any further committee comments or questions?
Allow me to explain.
Just wait till you get to the microphone before you start speaking.
The reason I'm here today is usually architect doing this. We started drawing these houses for almost 2 years. The garage that the members or staffs are asking for to be lower than the other one, I asked Mike to bring me the other 2 drawings that we originally done. The first one that was not accepted with the staff. The second one, the entry was from Tucson or Tuscan. The height of the attic that you are asking for, Because of the hillside property, we have steps up and down. I'm a contractor myself since '88, so I know what's going on. We have to consider, since it's a hillside, we have stepped on the house, the backyard, everything. We need to think about the interior also. I mean, look at this interior. It's a flat interior. If we wanted to move the exterior up and down and give minimum attic for anything, for plumbing, for HVAC, for central vacuums and everything, then the interior will have stepped down, like 1 feet up, 1 feet down. It's gonna be really ugly to get in that house. So the previous drawing on the garage was lower than the building, and it wasn't accepted with the staff. Mike forgot to bring the older drawings. And the other reason that we don't have lighting, I paid 3 times for architect, 3 times for mechanical, 3 times for landscaping, 3 times for grading. This project has already cost me same amount as I bought the land. So we wanted to make sure that the drawing is accepted with you before we go through lighting or anything else. And to be honest, I'm not gonna pay another fee to Mike to get me the lighting drawing if this building is not accepted. And honestly, if it's not accepted, I have no problem. I'm gonna put it back for sale. I'm on it for 3 years and I'm really tired of it. I don't care what I spend on them, so at least I can get it over with. Some of the things you are asking is not possible. Garage height difference, interior height difference is not possible. I'm not gonna build that ugly house. Thank you.
Okay, from the committee, if we have no other comments, do we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll take a run at it.
Thank you, John.
I would like to propose a motion to accept with a series of conditions.
Okay.
And the first one would be, what did we have in terms of solar collectors? Solar panels and a delineation of what the visual screening element would be.
Correct.
Second thing would be to rectify the differences in the fascia dimension throughout. Exploration of the raising of the main room's ceiling and the reduction of the truss heel such that those windows could achieve a higher head height.
Okay.
Changing of the wall between the uphill, between this property and the downhill side one on.
On the east side?
Yes, on the east side, as you had described in terms of 2 separate walls with some planting in between. Anybody got anything else? Garage wing wall. To extend the veneer of the garage to wrap it to the side as well as bring it all the way up.
Okay, I
Last
think you
call.
hit the points that I have on my list. Do we have a second? Dan has a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And that aye included Robert, who's joined us by Zoom.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much.
one of the comments that you were asking for, I'm asking if you can think about that a little more, one more time. The windows on top of the front door that you want them for bigger than that. Mike already have to bring this roof down for 4 inches. These windows are about like 12 to 18 inches. I don't know exact sizes. But think of if we make these 24 inches. Since they are solid glass, they are on top of the, before basically from the ceiling. No blinds or anything will work there. And the sun from 220 feet by 2 feet straight is gonna go on your living room. The AC on this house has to work 24 hours to get it cool. So just think of it twice, please. If you want them 24, we'll do it, but it's not something to do it. It's not right. It's up to you.
And
Thank you.
you might even think about eliminating them.
Uh,
You know, you have
we
you have a lot of glass in that living
No
room.
problem. I'm okay to eliminate them.
I think it's the
But
proportion.
all the
They just
houses
look
in
so
Palmer
small.
Springs, they do have that for the look. I don't like them personally. I will love if you guys take them off.
That may be an easy decision.
And our roof will come down a little more if you want them on. I mean, if you don't need the windows, we don't need to be that high.
Yeah, I think that might be a good solution.
Okay.
But what I would think you'd think about then is rather than have sort of a plain wall of stucco, to do something with the material there to make it feel a little bit less,
No
solid
problem.
up there.
No problem.
As part of
Eliminate the windows. It's better.
Yeah,
Thank you.
sure.
Okay. We are now on to the next item of new business, and that's number 3B. Christopher Keith, owner, requesting the approval of a major architectural application and administrative minor application for the construction of a 1,536 square foot addition to a corner hillside lot located at 790 Cabrillo Road. Before we get into the discussion of this one, I think that the submittal is not complete. There's no grading plan, there's no survey or topo, there's no drainage plan, and I just think those are very critical issues on a hillside property, and I think we need to have that as part of the submittal before we can truly review the project. Having said that, Glenn, would, or Ken, or whomever, would we need a motion to say that, or how does that work?
You have a couple of choices before you. If you want to open the presentation and have the staff report or answer any questions to the owner, you could do so. You could then, at that time, choose to continue the matter to a date certain. Or if you don't wish to hear the staff report or have any discussion of it at this time, you can make the motion that the application is incomplete and that you are asking for those specific drawings, and again, move it to a date certain.
Well, I think that since I'm guessing it's the owner is here, why don't we have the staff report? We will have the comments from the owner, and then we can decide how to proceed.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Could we have a staff report, please?
Good evening, committee members. This is the addition of an existing single-family home at 790 Cabrillo Road. The addition is approximately 1,536 square feet. As part of the application, it is also an administrative minor modification for an overheight at the front yard setback facing the corner of the project, of the property rather. So to further orient us, the subject parcel is on the corner of Cabrillo Road, West Cabrillo Road and Girasol. And as you can see in this slide here, the addition would be to the southeast portion of the property with views facing out toward the valley. So this slide is showing us where the structure is of the overheight to the facing the corner at Girasol, and showing the massing to the residents across the street in comparison, and then also cross-section to the residents to the north on Girasol. So here we have the pad heights of adjacent properties that are developed. There is a vacant parcel to the immediate west that is currently vacant. So we have, we're looking at the pad heights, and the pad height of this finished addition is within the range of its neighbors at 681 and a half. So in these slides, it's showing us, again, massing and cross-sections of what's going on with the existing portion of the house, which is where the garage is on the west side, and how the addition will be tied in to gentrify the whole property. As you can see, as you have seen in some of the site photos, it is in need of a remodel. So with your guidance and probably more materials and details, the staff is recommending approval based on the requests within a hillside lot, and the fact that the lot is slightly substandard does allow for the overheight in the hillside area. Thank you.
Thank you. Committee members, any questions for staff?
Chair Dakeway?
Yes, Robert?
Yeah, so are we doing a full review of this project, or are we just focusing on the height increase?
I believe this is a complete review of the architecture and the height increase.
Yes.
Okay. In their drawings, they show a 25-foot setback for both Girasol and on Cabrillo. And normally on a quarter lot, aren't you required to have only 20 feet on the side yard? And is there some special condition for this that it's different?
On the, actually, because of the definition of true front on a corner lot, and this being in a reverse corner lot condition, that would require both setbacks to be 25. Because of the way that the neighboring resident to the north, and then they have a resident beyond them. So it would create a 25-foot setback on Girasol. And because of the dimensions of the lot, that also created the 25-foot setback on Cabrillo.
And then the last question, there's an existing one-car garage. And so I'm wondering if there's something that triggers the requirement to have two covered spaces, particularly when their addition is much larger than the existing house.
Planning staff was not requiring them to add another car as they weren't touching that portion of the house. So it's an addition to the existing structure, and currently as it was constructed with only one car.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Mr.
John?
Chairman, I might be wrong, but in my package, we're missing a couple, as long as we're collecting up more material, a couple elevations, north and west, I think, are missing. Not get them.
Okay.
It repeats.
Any other comments from the committee?
Yeah, I had a question. I was just asked, I'm trying to figure out from the site plan and the, I think it was the roof plan that shows the encroachment area, and I can't seem to justify, because on the site plan, it looks like the building is within the setbacks. But on the roof plan, it's overlapping significantly, so it doesn't kind of make sense to me.
Steve, I think it has to do with the 12-foot requirement at the front of the building. And the height at the front corners exceeds 12 foot because it steps down.
Correct, and
Oh,
that's the reason for the.
it's a height encroachment, not a setback
that's
encroachment.
correct.
Okay, okay,
Yes.
sorry, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, got it. Thank you, Robert.
Okay, the applicant, if you would give us your name, and you'd have 10 minutes to present the project.
Yeah, my name's Chris Keith. It's my house. I submitted full renderings, a grading plan, survey stuff like a month or so ago, so I don't know why it's not here. And I just drove down from LA to have this presentation, so I don't know why my drawings only have a couple things. All that stuff was submitted about a month or so ago. So looking on the renderings or stuff up here, I don't see any of that stuff.
Yeah, we don't have it, so we can't comment on it.
Okay, I mean, all I can do is email it to the city.
Well, I've been in close discussion with engineering department, and I was not made aware that a grading plan was submitted with a topo.
And there's also, I see renderings on here. Is that mine? Yeah. But the renderings aren't up. I didn't see them up here.
You know, we have the renderings. I
Oh,
believe.
okay. Like the drawing, okay.
So what we're missing is the, John identified two exterior elevations that were missing, and the grading plan, topo plan, some detail to the roof plan. There's nothing that shows us what the eaves look like, if the roof has a pitch to it, where the solar panels are, any
There's no,
venting.
solar panels weren't required because it's
They're required by state law.
not on an addition, only on new homes.
Oh,
So
So you're not going to provide any then?
I'm providing a place for it. I haven't decided if I'm going to put them in yet, depending on the cost. The roof is flat. That's why we extended out. That's why we're asking for the minor, whatever, it's a minor modification on the left and right front corners because of the setback. It goes into a slope at that point, like a 3 to 12 slope or whatever, 4 to 12 slope or whatever it is. I originally designed the house with a 20-foot side yard setback on, Girasol, and my front yard 25, and then I was told afterwards that I had to move it back. So I just went ahead and moved my house back 5 feet. And like I said, the whole point was to extend the existing house straight out, so it looked like a flat, like modern, simple roof, and all the sloping is hidden within the parapet. So the ceiling for the road from the street the building's meant to look perfectly
So
flat.
how is the roof drained?
It's a parapet, so the roof drains backwards towards the existing house.
But does it eventually go into roof drains or gutters
Yes.
or off the edge of the
Yes.
roof? See, that needs to
Yeah.
be shown here so that we can see it.
Yeah, like I said, I submitted all that stuff, so I don't, once it's submitted online, I don't know what to do.
I also question that the living room does not have any windows.
Okay.
And I'm not exactly sure without looking at the code book what's required for egress, if you can go through adjoining rooms.
That caught my eye. You have a light and air requirement for habitable space.
Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry the package didn't get to us, but we can't review what we don't have.
So we can't look at the outside of the building to determine that, so I don't get change, I'm trying to get the Sue for 9 months now.
Well, I think that things could well be changing as all this other information comes together. And we don't approve portions of projects. We like to see the entire project.
Okay, so I gotta wait till next July and drive down again?
Not next July, I think our next.
Or when, a month from now, so I gotta do this again? On something that wasn't my fault?
Now, you don't have to be here. We do
Well,
need the drawings.
I understand.
Well, I just want to clarify something. You know, I know that we have been working, this is Chris Hadwin, the planning director. I know that we have been requesting this information for some time. You know, I am sorry to hear that you had provided it, but it doesn't sound like planning has receipt of that. So we'll look into where you sent it, but if you didn't send it, if you didn't file it as part of your application or provide it to your planner, we would have no way of including that in the package or knowing that it was submitted. So we'll look into that, but you know, all of that needs to go through Richard.
And that, those comments were from Chris Harden, our planning director for the city. So do we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I would make,
Chair, can I
Yes,
just
yes,
say
Robert.
that, yeah, I'm sorry, this is Robert Rotman. There's a couple things that I did see that I thought we should bring up, at least so that if he's coming back, some of these things can be addressed at that time as well.
Sure.
And some of them are questions. So the big thing I have is I really didn't see, the house is kind of fortress-like with the wall that goes around it and the pool, but I really don't see functionally how a pool service is going to access the pool. I saw that there's a gate on the north side, but there's boulders all around there, and there's no way that a pool service is going to get into the pool area to service it. So I think there needs to be some thought about how that's going to happen. I also didn't see anywhere where the trash is being stored, where pool equipment or any HVAC equipment is located. The plan shows a retaining wall on Girasol. I'm sorry, the section shows a retaining wall on Girasol, but I didn't see it anywhere on the plan. And the renderings show some trees, but I didn't see any of those on a landscape plan either. That's what I have.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
Any other comments or advice to the applicant for what we still need? And to play on to Robert's comment about the landscape plan, there's no landscape legend telling us what the material are, what the size of the material is. So it's just, there's a lot of things that just don't seem complete.
How do I get a list of what I need to do? Because I've been trying to do this for 9 months.
Talk to the planner, the planning
I've
department.
done everything I've been asked to do.
No one else has had this problem.
Well, there you go. I've done everything I've been asked to do, every step of the way.
We will coordinate with you further tomorrow. I mean,
Okay.
again, I understand there's been multiple conversations about this, so we'll follow up again tomorrow.
Okay, so who do I come meet with so I get a list, so I can check off my list, so I can get this thing done?
As I said, we'll
I don't
follow
know.
up with
I
you
don't know
tomorrow.
I don't know who I'm talking to.
This is the
This is the
planning.
planning director. Your planner will follow up with you tomorrow. Richard Bruno, he's been telling you about this information for some time. He'll reach out to you again tomorrow.
Okay, so I come in again tomorrow and go through this again tomorrow.
Has someone
Hello?
documented everything we mentioned needing?
Right, yes, we're taking notes and writing everything down.
Okay.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to continue.
With any specifics to that?
With a completed package.
Right.
Planning's blessing with all of the ingredients that need to be in there, including everything that we have just said now.
Mr. Lyon?
Do you want to continue this to a date certain or not?
No.
Okay.
I'd say continued until we receive the new submittal. Do we have a second? Dan Thompson seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And please show that Robert on Zoom also voted aye. Thank you. That's our final agenda item. Does anybody on the committee have any general comments? Does the staff have any comments for us?
I don't have any, no.
Okay, then I think we are adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.